Autistic Tony Stark by ajexists. Work 6. The Public versus Autistic Tony Stark. Chapter 1. Infantilization. Tony was originally out with Happy to run some errands. By running errands, he means buying some more supplies at the hardware store and grabbing a cheeseburger. After lunch, he mentioned to Happy that he wanted to go on a walk, alone. Happy originally said no, but then compromised by walking a few feet behind him. Every once in a while, Tony liked to take a walk around Central Park. He loved living in cities, but ever since he was a kid, he dreamed of living a quiet life. Living in a small cabin, perhaps beside a lake, out in the middle of nowhere. An escape from the crazy life he's always lived. Now he can't exactly do that, especially now with the Avengers and Peter, so he makes do by going on walks through the great NYC parks. During these walks he also likes to think, not just of the quiet life dream, but of his life in general. He's learned over the years that these walks can help him process major life events. Driving is another tactic he liked to use, but it was more difficult to get into that calm driving state when dealing with NYC traffic, so driving was utilised more when he stayed in Malibu or upstate. During these walks he'd think about what has been going on, his thoughts and emotions surrounding the events. He struggles with that stuff anyway, but he struggles with it even more when his mind is focused on something else. So that's why he doesn't go to the lab. Yes, it calms him, but he very easily gets distracted and hyper-focused on some project, so a walk in nature it is. Taking up Tony's mind was the press conference, more accurately people's immediate response to it. These type of announcements always come in two waves. The first wave is shock. They take the announcement at face value and react to it. Tony Stark is Iron Man, the news of the century. Tony Stark confirmed superhero. The second wave are the responses. This is where the PR team really gets to work. An outwave of public opinions come crashing in. Friend or foe? Is Iron Man dangerous? Can Tony Stark be trusted? He's never liked that second wave, the public's opinion. He didn't care much after Iron Man. He felt on top of the world and simply lucky to be alive. He is scared shitless about Wave 2 this time around. As much as he claims Iron Man is him, it's more of just a part of him, his best attributes put into a superhero. This recent announcement, it's literally how he is as a human. If people have negative feelings about this diagnosis, then they have negative feelings about him. And sure, many, many people have hated Tony in the past. But this felt different. All of the other times were his behaviours, many of the risky stuff he did was his own choice. Even if he regrets that choice now, or even felt bad about it then, it was still his decision. This time, though, they'd be hating on him for something he can't control, something he can't change, which made him nervous about the public reaction. "Hi there, are you Tony Stark?" Tony got pulled out of his thoughts to see an older lady in front of him. He fixed his posture and smiled at her. "That is me." "Oh great, that's wonderful. Would you mind signing something for my grandson?" The lady pulled out a journal and a pen in her purse. Why do ladies have everything in their purses? She then looked up at Tony, waiting for an answer. Tony smiled again and grabbed the journal. "Don't mind at all." He took the pen and journal, then flipped through the pages to find an empty one. "What's the kid's name?" "Mason. Oh, he's such a sweet boy." The old lady smiled and put her hand on her heart. She then leaned into him, whispering like she was telling him a secret. "He's autistic, like you." Tony paused, glancing over at the lady. "Oh? Yeah, he always wanted to be a superhero. We always said that he already was, that autism was his superpower." Tony's eyes widened. The lady continued. "But now he can see someone who used their autism to become a superhero." Tony bit his cheek, incredibly grateful for the sunglasses, because he knows he is giving some hardcore glares. I wouldn't really say my autism is what made me a superhero." "Oh, nonsense, sweetheart," the lady lightly slapped his arm, Tony's muscles tensing. "Your autism made you smart enough to build those suits you use to fly around. That's part of your superpower." "I mean, I guess, but nothing," the lady laughed, squeezing his arm. "You and Mason always doubt your own abilities. You can't let your autism define you. I always have to remind him that he's not disabled," she said, with a hint of disgust in her tone. You two are differently abled." "You have got to be kidding me." "Ma'am, I don't." "Oh, hush, don't worry about it," the lady laughed. "You and Mason always trying to correct the adults." "I am an adult." She smiled and pointed at the journal. "Just right. Mason, you are the best superhero I know, Tony Stark. You got that?" Tony simply nodded, knowing he would sound incredibly rude if he spoke. He wrote down exactly what she said, noticing the slight shake in his handwriting, then passed it back over to the old lady. She smiled wide and gave him a hug. "Thank you so much, Tony. Mason is going to love this." She let go of the hug and started walking away. "Take care of yourself, sweetie." Tony just stood there, taking deep breaths and rubbing his fingers. A minute later, Happy comes up to him. "Everything all right, boss?" He was quiet for a little bit longer. He took a shaky breath, then whispered, "Let's just go home." I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Have a lovely day.